welcome to tonight's living room. Thank you so much to all of you in the room, those of you that are joining us online, and those of you that will come back and watch us either on Penn TV or the internet post live. Welcome, welcome. Happy Lung Cancer Awareness Month. We're very, very happy to have all of you here and to be able to bring to you tonight something a little bit different. We thought, you know, how can we better explain to all of you live, and again, those that are going to watch post live, what it is we do. You know, we work hard for you guys work hard for us. You bring us your voice here in the living room and through other avenues as we ask you, and you donate, you participate in our runs, and do we do a good enough job explaining to you what it is we do? So tonight is going to be us talking about the foundation of our foundation, and we're really, really excited to do that. Not everyone could be here from the foundation, so I think Rocky was going to put up a PowerPoint slide to show you who it is that's doing what we're doing and helping to get it all done. There's about 20 of us between both organizations, and we're going to talk about both of them and what each of them do independent and together. But 20 of us getting all of this really amazing stuff done. One of the things I didn't mention before we get into the why we do what we do is we've been around for 11 years, give or take a few months here and there, and we've raised around $30 million. That roughly 90 cents on each dollar goes right back out the door to support our mission. So patient program services, education, and research. We have I'm doing the whole pat on the back. 4-star rating on Charity Navigator, and we have a platinum rating on GuideStar, and we're the only lung cancer foundation out there that has a platinum rating on GuideStar. So we're really, really proud of how smart and responsible we are with your money. Thanks.
Well, and what that means is we have been thoroughly vetted, you know, our financial information and, you know, our metrics and how we monitor what we're doing and getting the feedback. So it's not easy to get those with that recognition.
It's really not, and it's something that we're very, very, very proud of because not many organizations out there can say, lung or otherwise, can say that they are that responsible with their donor dollars, as responsible as we are. So with that, let's kind of jump into maybe some introductions, and then we'll jump into your story and why you do what you do. So David, I don't know if you want to just introduce yourself really quick.
Yeah, David LeDuc. I'm the executive director here for the foundation. I've been with the organization a little over 2 years now, so this will actually be my third gala, which I'm excited about. So, yeah, should be fun.
Great.
But David comes with a lot of experience in lung cancer. He used to be with Free to Breathe. And so...
Let's talk a little bit about that, yeah.
Right, okay, great. Yeah, okay.
We didn't steal him or anything.
Yeah, we didn't steal it. We tried.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Guneet Walia. I am the Senior Director for Research and Medical Affairs, and I work across both our organizations, ALCF and Alchemy. And that's me.
Yeah.
That's you.
And I'm Danielle Hicks. First and foremost, well, not first and foremost mother, I guess, but daughter of Bonnie, oldest daughter, as my sister, who's not able to be here tonight, is more than happy to share every time it comes up.
That she's the younger daughter.
She's the younger daughter. And I've been with the organization for about 8 or 9 years now, and my role here is to lead up patient program services and education. So we have a great team of folk that help me do that. I definitely don't do it all by myself. And who are you?
Well, I'm Bonnie, mother to the oldest daughter, and founder of this organization and the second organization, which is Alchemy, which I'm sure we'll be talking about at this point. Yeah.
Did you ever have lung cancer?
Oh, yes, and I'm a lung cancer survivor.
Yeah.
13 years, 12 or 13.
13.
Yeah.
14. Like, listen to the director of marketing in the back of the room. 14. It's almost 14 years. Yeah.
Long time. Yeah. And I'll tell you a little bit why I'm a survivor. Right.
I think you should, because they told you adenocarcinoma stage 3B. Go.
Okay, so 14 years ago and change, I was diagnosed with lung cancer, but it took me a long time to get diagnosed, like I'm sure many of you. It's not a new story, it's an old story. Find it by accident. because it's really only been recently that there's been approval for CT screening as a means to have early detection for lung cancer. But it's still not optimum. It still isn't offered to everybody. But all that being said, I was diagnosed. I only have one vocal cord, so that's why my voice is so sexy. My husband thinks one vocal cord in me is an asset to him. So, all that being said, I finally got diagnosed myself and ended up going down and paying for a full body scan. The radiologist came out and he pointed to this tumor that was growing on my heart and my aorta, and he said, take this to your doctor today. So I did. Long story short, I'm going to minimize, this whole thing. Failed biopsy, offering exploratory surgery. That didn't sound good. I don't believe in coincidences, and I really believe that everything happens for a reason. And thank God that the physician they were referring me to was on vacation, because I went home from work one night and I was reading this little article, probably no bigger than this, in the San Mateo Times. It's a local newspaper here, about this surgeon that was, this thoracic surgeon from UCSF that was coming down to Sequoia Hospital once a week to teach the general surgeon at Sequoia Hospital thoracic surgery and how to operate on lung cancer patients. So I looked at that and I said, that's who I need. I just knew it. I knew it from reading that article. So I made a few phone calls, and the pulmonologist from the hospital told me the next day, go get your scans, bring them to me, and I'll walk them around, and we'll see what we can find. So she took them to one major academic center down the road a piece that said there was nothing they could do for me. The tumor was on my heart, and it just was going to be a matter of time. So, weeks. So she took it up to UCSF to this magical surgeon, and I got an appointment with him, and he said, Bonnie, what do you expect from me? What do you want from me? And I said, if I'm going to die, I don't want it to be because I did nothing. So after a really long surgery, multiple, like 14 hours, vascular surgeon, heart surgeon, and thoracic surgeon, and then radiation while I was open in the operating room, targeted radiation. I'm here. But during that time, I got on the internet, because we're going to get around to why we started this foundation. And I started to read a lot of, really not good information. And none of it was encouraging, none of it was inspiring, none of it was, And you all have to remember, and I highly advise that you don't get on the internet, because once information gets on the internet, it never goes away. So there was a lot of information on the internet that was 20 years old and 30 years old, and none of it was good. So then I discovered that the survival rate for the top 3 other cancers, breast, colon, and prostate cancer, were in the 80 percentile and 90 percentile, especially if caught early. And I thought, why is lung cancer 15%? Because it was only 15% when I was diagnosed. So then I discovered there was a stigma about lung cancer, that only smokers get lung cancer. And oh, by the way, you brought it on yourself, so therefore you're not worthy of research dollars to cure this disease. Well, then I just got plain mad. That just really pissed me off. And I thought, who on earth is making these decisions? You live, you don't live, you live, you don't live. So I made a promise to myself when I was in the Barco Lounger getting chemotherapy, that if I made it through the knothole, I would do something about the injustice in lung cancer. The fact that there was very little funding for research and very little. In 1971, Richard Nixon declared war on cancer. But the war on lung cancer really just got started about 2 years ago. So here we are today. The survival rate is now almost 18%, honing in on 18%. But more drugs have been approved in the last 2 years for lung cancer than in the last 4 decades. So amazing progress is being made. Amazing research is starting to happen. we still need more funding. We still need to get that up comparable to other cancers. And our message is anyone can get lung cancer. Anyone with lungs can get lung cancer. 80% of all the newly diagnosed patients either quit smoking decades ago or never started smoking. So, and more and more and more, never smoker, never smoker, never smoker. So I think we're starting to chip away at that stigma as well.
I just want to make a comment about the stigma because it infuriates me as much as it infuriates you. Even if it were true, and we've already stated that it's not, that only smokers get lung cancer, so what? Number one.
Exactly.
But number two, statistically speaking, out of 100 plus solid tumor and blood cancers, never smoking lung cancer is number 6. So even in the folks who should not be stigmatized for any reason whatsoever, even though nobody should be, it's the 6th largest cancer killer. It just makes 0 sense.
Yeah. But lung cancer is not the only disease that has had stigmas.
Sure.
Diabetes. I'm going to ask you all a question. What do you think the number 1 disease is that is related to smoking and tobacco? Heart disease, number 1. Number 2, vascular disease, and 31 cancers are associated with tobacco products. So, those things are happening as well. We just recently did a big event in Washington, D.C. last week, and that was David went out to speak there. Things are happening. So there's nothing but going this way now. We are on the way to be up to where all of those other cancers are, and I'm really thinking very positive about those things these days. But that's really what started all of this, for us to do this.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So some of the things we're going to talk about is some of the barriers and how we, from the very beginning, took a different approach, or at least we think we're taking a different approach, to tackling this disease, be it stigma or otherwise. And we're going to talk a little bit tonight about some of the barriers that we identified and how we're trying to fill those gaps. And please, we by no means think that we are doing everything the only and the most perfect way there is to do it. So we would love your input and feedback, particularly from the patient perspective and the caregiver's perspective on how we can do it better. We're always striving to do what we do better. And I'm going to start a little bit in the patient, the programs and services that we provide space. And I'm going to ask everybody else to chime in if I'm forgetting to mention something. And Stephen Young is online. He's the president and COO of Alchemy, which we're going to get to a little bit later. But from a program perspective, when I first started here, literally the only program we had was navigation. And it was me. It started with my mom. And then when I, talking to patients slowly, a patient here, a patient there, and then I came on board, and then we were both talking to patients. But support for patients. Quite often when a patient goes to their physician, they're in and out, right? If they have any time with anyone at all, it's with their nurses, or hopefully their nurse navigators if they're in a comprehensive lung program. But really helping to fill those gaps. Quite often when patients are there, they aren't thinking of the questions they want to ask. It's only when they get in the cars and they're driving home, they think, oh man, I wish I'd have asked my physician. And of course, nobody wants to bother their physician until their next appointment. We provide that sort of help with answering questions, helping with questions to ask your doctor at your next appointment. We help facilitate second opinions with physicians around the world who are experts in lung cancer. And Michelle has been doing that for, how long have you been here now? 4 years. I can't remember anymore, but Michelle was doing it for 4 years, and then we just hired a nurse navigator out of Tennessee. Her name's Kim Parham, and she'll be here Thursday or Friday this week. She's out east this week to help to scale and grow that program. We get probably about lately about 12 new patient calls a week, and we're constantly rotating through about 1,000 different patients at any given time that we're actively working with from around the world to help them to navigate this disease and to really navigate their new normal. And I know some patients get frustrated when you say that it's a new normal, but we all have new normals in our life. I mean, whether you're having a baby or becoming a grandparent or retiring from your job, all of a sudden things get new and you have to figure out how to work within it. So We're really, really proud of that program and working hard to develop some strategic partnerships to see how we can really scale that so that it can better benefit more patients. Did I forget anything about navigation?
No, that's good. I'd like to add a little bit to it because I think it's an important piece. Danielle mentioned that her and Bonnie and Michelle and now Kim are the ones who predominantly have been taking those calls and working with patients over the years. But the truth of the matter is I've seen just about every person in the foundation work with patients in some way, shape, or form. We have cases, I had one recently where someone in the UK, I saw something on social media where they were 33 years old, diagnosed kind of in the middle of the country, and the caregiver said that the person was on a chemotherapy. It didn't seem right to me, a 33-year-old patient, and so quickly reached out through social media to find out what was going on, had they been genetic tested. It turned out that they had, luckily, misunderstanding in terms of they were on the right drug, but we were able to get a referral through our network and through our connections to this person to go to the University of Manchester and make sure that the care plan that had been put in place was good. And it's every single person in the foundation who really takes this approach of patients first and making sure that we're having those conversations no matter where we are. We kind of drop everything when we hear about someone who needs something or has reached out to us. And again, it's everyone in the foundation, from Kim having, welcoming people when they come in, or that first contact on the phone, Ganit with the scientific information and so on down the line. I think it's really the heart of our organization. Maybe it wasn't the exact first thing that was started, but I still think it really defines in many ways what this foundation's about.
Absolutely. With that, I'm going to turn things over to Ganit so we can talk a little bit about research and the innovative way that we approach research. And you've heard us say in the past, what we don't want to do is fund research the same way that everybody's been funding lung cancer research for the last 50 years because it's not working, right?
Yeah.
And because the funding is so limited, we have to be smarter about who we're funding and what we're funding. And Ganit has been here for a few years now and has really, really helped us to develop our research program. And with the team, I think we've got some great things going on. So Ganit, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff we're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm going to keep this brief, and I want all of you to take this back with you. When you think about ALCF and you think about the research that we do, just two words. Two words: one, collaboration, and two, innovation. That's how I hope you remember us and the work that we do, specifically around research that ALCF funds and Alchemy runs. So what do we do here? And I'm talking about both organizations, the Addario Lung Cancer Foundation, ALCF, and the Addario Lung Cancer Medical Institute, or Alchemy, ALCMI, Alchemy. When Bonnie started this, and we've had several discussions around this, the biggest problem that we've seen is that all this exciting, cool research is happening, but all of this research is happening in these individual silos in these bigger academic centers, and they all want to hold it close to their chest because they want to publish it, they want the name and fame with it, and by the time that it translates to the patient, it takes several years. So we wanted to change that. We wanted to spur collaboration. We wanted people to break these silos, come together, work together, and with this sense of urgency in doing it right now. And Bonnie and the team, before I joined, we've been funding research ever since 2000. Yeah, from the very beginning is
2006.
Yes, Bonnie, the team's been funding research at UCSF, basically actually all over the world since 2006. But we decided, we really need to do something differently so that we can have an impact on patient lives today. Because typically, how a typical nonprofit research program works is they invite applications, they send the money out, the research is happening at a lab, which might not translate into the clinic in the next 5-10 years, right? That is a typical nonprofit research funding paradigm, and I can say this because I've worked in the oncology nonprofit space for a couple of years before I came here. But we decided to change this on its, completely turn it on its head and do something differently. So we decided we will not fund research that is, basic incremental change effecting. We want to do something that has impact on patient lives today. And I'm not saying that basic research isn't important. It is important because it needs to be done, because that's how we'll get to medicines 20, 30 years from now. But we also want to make impact in the now. And therefore, the research that we run from within the Alchemy Consortium is something that can bring in patients from the community setting, from the academic setting, bridge them together, and have impact on patient lives today, as well as advance research, as well as bring new drugs to patients today. And one of the examples, I can give you an example of a research grant that we initiated that is, again, very unique, very different. This is something that we call YITA, Y-I-T-A, or the Young Innovators Team Grants. So what typically happens is when research grants are given out, they're given out to these top academic folks, senior investigators who've been doing this for a very long period of time. They decide, how this money is going to be used. And I'm going to sound very politically incorrect here, but most of the research is actually done by these younger, super enthusiastic investigators who are ambitious, who want to get things done. So we decided, how about we fund these investigators directly, right? And instead of having them work individually, having them come together in teams, preferably across institutions, not just limited at their institutions. So we said, we'll give you funding, we'll give you $500,000, but we mandate that you work across institutions. You put together teams with people that you've never worked with in the past, right? So we are kind of pushing them, we are giving them the carrot, but we say, you work in teams, you work in multidisciplinary teams, come up with proposals that will impact patient lives today, and we'll fund you. And we've been doing this, and we've had amazing impact. Research that we funded through the YITA grant program has led to new clinical trials, has led to some very new, very exciting developments in small cell lung cancer, which is considered the second, third cousin, because there's literally nothing has changed in the past 3 decades for small cell lung cancer. And the research that we funded at Sloan Kettering, at the Fred Hutch, is impacting small cell lung cancer today, in the now. We all know to get to chronically managed disease, we have to diagnose cancer early, right? How is it done? CT scans. But the problem with CT scans, it's riddled with so many, so many false positive problems of false positives, right? It's diagnosing something that's not there, or it's probably not picking up. So how can we make this better? So we decided, how about we reach out to the data science community, folks who are working in the artificial intelligence and machine learning space, and they look at huge databases of CT scans that we got access to, identify patterns by looking at all these CT scans to see if there's a nodule. First of all, is a nodule present on a CT scan? If it is present, is it benign or malignant? And if it is malignant, how big is it? How much, what next steps should be? All automated, all using artificial intelligence and machine learning. And we now have these data scientists from over 100 countries around the world working on this right now as we speak, to come up with a complete, like an automated solution that can be used in the clinic.
Using some sort of an algorithm.
Just an algorithm.
To identify, yeah.
So that's the crowdsourcing challenge that we are working on right now. So, this is just a flavor of the very unique things that we are doing within ALCF research. And, the other thing that we try to do within ALCF research is to bring all these very cool programs that, patient services has developed, like the COE network, like the registry, and offer these as tools to the research community to utilize this infrastructure that we've already set up, to utilize the hashtag big data that we are collecting through the registry, and use this for research. Similarly, our Alchemy Consortium is another tool that we are offering. We are building these biorepositories, which are a collection of patient donated specimens. We are building these data repositories, which is the registry, and we are offering these as a resource to whoever wants to look at them, to identify patterns, to do something for patients now, in a collaborative fashion, in an innovative fashion.